History is not only what is written, it's what is remembered and what is erased. For generations, one story was told, while another was buried. The African American experience is not a footnote. It is the foundation, built in the shadows, brilliant in silence, resilient under pressure. These are the voices left out of textbooks, the communities erased from maps, the brilliance history forgot. This is not a rewrite of the past, it is the missing truth. To understand America, we must finally see it whole.
Segregated shores, America's beaches and resorts. Along America's sunlit shores, freedom once ended at the water's edge. During the Jim Crow era, African Americans were systematically barred from most public beaches, hotels, and resorts. Segregation laws, and the violence that enforced them, made rest, recreation, and even ocean air a privilege denied. But exclusion did not erase the human need for joy, dignity, and escape. So Black communities built their own. From coastlines and lake shores to tucked-away resort towns, African Americans created spaces where families could swim without fear, dance without restraint, and breathe without apology. These beaches and resorts became sanctuaries, places of laughter, music, romance, and renewal, where Black life could exist fully, even under the shadow of segregation. They were more than vacation spots. They were acts of resistance. This is the story of those hidden shorelines and summer havens, of resilience shaped by exclusion and beauty born from necessity. This is the history of segregated beaches and resorts, and the communities that transformed them into symbols of freedom. This multi-episode series will tell the history of 12 segregated beaches and resorts, and the communities that transformed them into symbols of freedom. American Beach, Bruce's Beach, Buckrow Beach, Carr's Beach, Chicken Bone Beach, Highland Beach, Idlewild, Oak Bluffs, Pleasure Island, Sag Harbor, the Ink Well, and Virginia Key Beach. When most people think of Galveston Beach, they imagine sunshine, salt air, and freedom. But for African Americans living in Texas during the Jim Crow era, freedom at the beach was never guaranteed. This shoreline, beautiful, expansive, and inviting, was also divided. Not by fences or walls, but by law, by violence, and by an unspoken rule. Some people belonged here, and others did not. Yet even in a segregated world, Black families found ways to claim joy, rest, and dignity, if only for a day. This is the story of Galveston Beach during Jim Crow. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Galveston was one of the most important cities in Texas. A booming port, a vacation destination, a city with theaters, hotels, bathhouses, and beaches that attracted visitors from across the state. Before segregation hardened into law, Black residents lived and worked throughout the city. They labored on the docks, worked in hotels, cooked meals, cleaned rooms, and helped build Galveston's reputation as a coastal playground. But as Jim Crow laws tightened across the South, public spaces, including beaches, became contested ground. By the early 20th century, segregation in Texas was no longer informal. It was enforced. African Americans were barred from many sections of Galveston Beach, especially those near popular resorts and downtown access points. White-only bathhouses, pavilions, and boardwalks lined the coast. Police patrols ensured order, which often meant removing Black beachgoers. Or worse, there were no signs posted in the sand. Everyone simply knew where Black people were not welcome. And violating those invisible boundaries could mean arrest, assault, or death. African Americans were pushed to the margins, to less developed, harder-to-reach sections of the coast. These areas had no lifeguards, no changing rooms, no restrooms, no shade or amenities. Yet black families came anyway. Why? Because the beach represented something rare during Jim Crow. Space, breath, escape. Parents packed food. Children ran barefoot across hot sand. Church groups organized outings. Families claimed a few hours of peace by the water, even if it came with risk. Despite segregation, black beach days were filled with life. There were cookouts with cast-iron grills, gospel songs drifting across the water, blues guitars echoing over the waves, children learning to swim from older cousins. These gatherings weren't just recreation. They were resistance. To laugh openly, to rest publicly, to exist joyfully in a society that tried to deny those things. The beach became a place where black Texans could be fully human, if only for a moment. But joy came with danger. Segregated beaches were often the most treacherous sections of the coast. Strong currents, poor water quality, no emergency services. Black drownings were common and rarely investigated. If violence occurred, authorities looked away. The message was clear. You may come here, but you are not protected. World War II changed the conversation. Black servicemen returned home having fought for freedom overseas, only to face segregation at home. Pressure grew. Legal challenges mounted. The hypocrisy became harder to ignore. By the late 1940s and early 1950s, cracks began to form in Jim Crow's grip on public beaches. When desegregation finally came, it did not bring equality overnight. Some white-owned beach facilities closed rather than integrate. Others quietly disappeared. Black beach traditions, once vibrant and communal, faded as access became technically legal but socially hostile. Integration did not preserve black spaces. It erased many of them. Today, Galveston Beach appears open and shared. But beneath the sand lies history. The laughter of black families who carved joy from exclusion. The danger endured in unprotected waters. The resilience required just to touch the ocean. These stories are rarely taught, rarely marked, rarely remembered. But they deserve to be. Galveston Beach was never just a beach. It was a battleground, a refuge, a contradiction. And for black Texans during Jim Crow, it was proof that even in a divided world, joy could still be claimed.